to invite the session chair of this session, Professor Pk Singh. And before I invite him, I would like to introduce him with a short introduction. Professor Pk Singh is a professor at the Department of Civil Engineering, Indian Institute of Technology, BHU Varanasi. He has earned his MSc in Environmental Engineering at University of Roorkee and his PhD in Civil Engineering from Indian Institute of Technology, Kanpur. He has worked as an assistant engineer for a period of 17 years in the Water Resources Department, Government of Bihar, before joining the Department of Civil Engineering at IIT BHU, Varanasi. So with this, I would like to invite Professor Pk Singh to conduct this session. Sir, please. You are mute. You have to unmute yourself, sir.
Good afternoon. Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you're audible.
Yeah. Before I start, I welcome all members to present here. I'll just check whether Prof Devendra Mohan is here.
I think we can go for the second talk first, in case he is not here.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yes. The difficult part is that the second speaker is also not here. So she is in the flight. Her topic is very interesting, and I was just chasing that she should be here. So before we go on her video talk, let us have her introduction first. The title of her talk is The Water World, Looking Back to Look Forward Through Scientific and Spiritual Perspectives by Dr. Bhakti Lata Devi. Dr. Bhakti Lata Devi is the founder of Jal Smruti and Urban Water Doctor, two water impact platforms. She obtained her BTech in Civil Engineering and MTech in Environmental Engineering from VJTI, University of Bombay, and earned her PhD in Water Management from University of Western Sydney, Australia. She has over 30 years of experience in facilitating and implementing water user-led on-site self-sufficient water schemes and in diverse functions across the value chain of water system. Next. Dr. Bhakti Lata Devi is also the founder president of Water Resources Council of WICCI, or Women's Indian Chamber of Commerce and Industry, a pan-India network of women in business and industries. She has previously worked in Sydney Water Corporation, Center for Water Sensitive Cities, Institute for Sustainable Futures, CRC for Irrigation Futures, Cook's River Alliance, and Sydney Harbour Catchment Management Authority. Next, please. Yeah, Dr. Bhakti Lata, she worked in sustainability of water area at a time when the sustainability in scientific domain was very much not well understood. So her works on sustainability of water resources in Australian context was very, one among the first. So we invited her to talk on that. Subsequently, on the journey of this understanding the sustainability, she reached in this Bhakti Parampara. So today she is following very much in our traditional Bhakti. She is trying to understand and how the sustainability has been ingrained in that parampara. So we can play her video, please.
Yes. Also, just to inform that the questions, you can send it to me, Dipankar Sharma, or Aristotle Moti Nandi, and we'll then send it to her, and we'll try to get back to you after we get the answers. So now I'll play the recorded presentation from her.
Hare Krishna. Om Jnana.
No, her video is not audible. Dipankar.
Kaya. Hare Krishna. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. I would like to thank the organizers to invite me to share my reflections about a very important topic of water. So I would like to start my presentation using a slide deck. So please allow me to share the slide deck. So the topic that I'm going to share my reflections and realizations on, I have titled it as Water World, Looking Back to Look Forward. My spiritual realizations and some scientific perspectives. And my name is Bhakti Lata Devi. I have worked in this water sector for 30 years. And it is because of that I thank you for the opportunity to share my realizations. So I have structured the presentation. Of course, I would like to start with Guru Pranam Mantra, and then I will move to share my spiritual realizations about the water situation that we are facing today. And I will share with you the recent scientific advancements and innovations that are going to help us to improve the water of the future. And I would like to close this presentation by sharing my own spiritual journey and its relationship to water. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So, having worked in this sector for 30 years in the field of sustainable water management, I have had some realizations which I would like to share. And I call them spiritual realizations because these realizations would not have come without my own journey and understanding that I have developed thanks to Guru Parampara, which has allowed me to reflect back and look at the situation and understand what is really the root cause of the problem. So the first realization is water, like our soul, is indeed timeless and eternal. The very natural water cycle is being designed to keep water in perpetuity. So water, when it is within its natural water cycle, is like its natural water cycle is actually Goloka and Vaikuntha of water. So if you really look at it that way, then you start to see the problem as well as the solution. And the second realization is that as soon as water comes in contact from the natural water cycle, when it comes in contact with the man-made world that is devoid of Krishna consciousness, what happens is we, the humanity, we start seeing water as a commodity to be exploited, extracted, and used only for sense gratification, the human greed, in exclusion of other fellow living entities. And that is why we have arrived at where we are. And because of that type of devoid of Krishna consciousness, we also, as a humanity, sully and discard water after using it. And then what we do by doing that is we disconnect the water from its Vaikuntha, from its Goloka, which is the natural water cycle, robbing it from water from being in its intended place, where it can be in perpetuity for the good of the planet and for the good of the human beings. So it is not different. It is very similar to the fate of precious human life when it comes in contact with the material world that is devoid of Krishna consciousness. And when that happens, we know from our Guru Parampara that we rob ourselves of perpetuity of our soul being located in Goloka and Vaikuntha. So it brings down to the point that when we suffer when we are devoid of Krishna consciousness, and we take actions which makes water suffer. And when water suffers, we suffer. So our sufferings, we are only reflecting and creating a world that is, within us. So when we become Krishna conscious, the water can also we'll take the actions that will take water to its Vaikuntha and Goloka, which is the natural water cycle. And the third realization is that when our intelligence gets clouded with greed, and of course, when we are not in Krishna consciousness, the default position is we are in touch with all the sense gratification attributes. So greed being one of the most dominant ones. So when our intelligence is clouded with greed, it does not allow us to see the value of protecting the natural water cycle. So as Srila Prabhupada, His Divine Grace has always, we have learned from His Divine Grace that the Krishna consciousness is about purifying the intelligence, clarifying, giving us the clarity to see the truth. And this is what happens when when the intelligence is clouded with greed, we are unable to see the real position of water and how to nurture it in a way that serves water and that serves us. So now I would like to move to the scientific realizations. So there are two parts. There's scientific realizations, how the scientific world is coming to grips with understanding of how we have managed water in the past and what we should, learning from the mistakes, what we could be doing better. And that is what I'm sharing. And I will follow that up with the technological innovations and advancement that is going to be helping us create a better water future. So first, I would like to share the scientific realizations. The first one is we have for long, did not appreciate and realize that connection, the interconnection of groundwater and surface water. And this is something, this realization is slowly being propagated and making its way into our policies and our plans by understanding that we have ignored the interconnection of groundwater and surface water. And the reality is that in nature, groundwater and surface water are completely connected. And what does that mean? For example, when, because groundwater is the one that feeds the rivers, when it's a gaining stream, when it's located, many of the rivers are groundwater fed. And in fact, what the experts say is India is actually a groundwater fed civilization more than a river civilization, because all our rivers are actually fed by groundwater. And that is why the rivers dry up when we have exploited the groundwater mindlessly, uncontrolled, without any control and regulation. So what does it mean? So therefore, knowing and understanding and appreciating the connection, we need to protect and nurture groundwater so that our streams do not run dry, because it is the groundwater that keeps the lakes and rivers from drying up. And by the same token, there are water bodies. The surface water also in certain locations feed the groundwater. So understanding that, we also need to protect the water bodies in order to recharge the groundwater. So this is a very a realization that has now gaining momentum slowly, and it is making its way in our actions. and which is a really good thing. The second scientific realization has been that it is the nature-based solution that is the most cost-effective and flexible way of managing water resources and the various disasters that are associated with risks that are associated with the climate change and the way we are managing water. So what does that mean? Because in the past, we have managed water in a very technologically energy-intensive way and making big systems, which has really which are not helping for us to move forward with all these climate change issues that are coming up, as well as the centralized systems themselves have created more problems, even though they started off by solving our problems. So the nature-based solution means that any treatment systems, management systems of managing stormwater or wastewater or water supply, we need to use natural systems, the vegetation, the soil, and so the nature has its own capacity to restore. So it has to be ecosystem-based approach, and that is why it is one of the realization of how water is indeed. Its real place is within the ecosystem. If we nurture the ecosystem that keeps the water in its perpetuity, then we also stand to benefit. Because when we do that, we automatically create human well-being and biodiversity benefits. So it is water is really at the center of all life, and not, we'd say this in theory, but we need to start reflecting it in our practices, in our decision making. So now let me share a few technological innovations that give hope for the better water future. Even though we have made a lot of mistakes in our past, we are learning from scientific realizations, and also the technological innovations are going to help us in improving the water for the future. So one of the revolutionary thing in technology that is now come is the nanoscience and nanotechnology, which makes it easy and cheap to remove contaminants from water. So it's an amazing, scientific discovery about how materials act at a nanoscale, and their behavior can be easily utilized for the purpose of, cleaning water in a much more efficient way. And that is the exciting part. So what we know from the experts in nanotechnology is that basically any polluted water can be treated with a variety of nanotechnology and nanomaterials in a way that is much more easier than our traditional ways of treating water. Then the second advancement which we can hope to improve the water future is the digital technologies like the internet of IoT, artificial intelligence, and there's a lot of satellite data. What they together allow us to do is to do real-time monitoring, and they provide feedback. And how does that help? When you start digitizing the water system, what it does is it enables a very high level of awareness because it gives us feedback. And that real-time feedback allows us to take a timely action, because often humans need that feedback system in order for us to design a system that actually works in our favor and works for the benefit of water. And that is what the digitization, in essence, allows us to do. And the third innovation, or it's an innovative concept more than a technology, it is that water works best at a decentralized scale. What that means is, if we can manage water at small scale systems rather than build large systems, that is what is going, because decentralized system by their nature, they provide more modular, more affordable, and more flexible alternative to very capital intensive centralized large systems. So this is being a lot of work is happening in the space of creating small systems to supply water, to treat water, to flood manage, take anything. So everything the approach is decentralized. And so basically decentralized means trying to manage water where it is, rather than wait for it to travel far away and collect and then do it. So if we can manage water on its own site, where it falls, where the rain falls, where the water gets used, then it allows us to use natural systems, just like we spoke about the nature-based solutions. And the best part about decentralized is that it scales well, and you can build it in phases. You can scale to a big scale by building in phases. And that's the beauty of decentralized system. And therefore, there's a lot of technological innovations happening in the decentralized space. So I would like to now conclude to share a bit of my spiritual journey that has led me to really dedicate my life for what the remaining part of my life to working for the cause of water. So as I said to you, I have worked in the water sector for many years, 30 years, because I got trained as a civil engineer, and also I have a master's in environmental engineering. I worked for a while. I got lost in the material world. And then I think because I was quite lost and looking and seeking, I was very fortunate. I had a Hetuki Kripa, because of which in 2003, I got initiated into the spiritual journey in Bhakti Yoga. And I started practicing. It really helped me to make sense of the world. And in 2004, this is, by the way, it is in Australia, because I studied in India up to 94. I was working in India, and then I migrated to Australia in 94. And so I had spent some years working there in the water sector, and that is where it happened. So in 2003, I was in Sydney, Australia, and where I initiated my spiritual journey. And following that, in 2004, I lost my job. And it would have, disturbed me, or, because, losing a job can be a very quite depressing thing. However, thank God, thanks to Guru Parampara, that I was at the time, really intensely learning about the Bhakti Yoga. And that was really helping me to, cope with this big shock that had happened in my life. I kept, in fact, because I lost my job, my practice became more intense. My chanting became longer, and I actually reveled in the fact that I have more time for doing Krishna service, and I was really, my consciousness was helping me cope with this, and I was actually seeing the benefit and the value in becoming Krishna conscious. And in 2005, as it would happen, that I actually won a scholarship to do a PhD in water management. In 2009, I successfully completed my PhD. And soon after that, I needed to look for a job because no more scholarship. And I was, again, Krishna, grace of Krishna and Guru Parampara, that I got hired. I got the best job I could have thought. I got hired by the mayor of City of Sydney to guide the city's groundbreaking decentralized water strategy. And it is, of course, I had a PhD, but more than that, I believe that, the sincerity with which when we practice, Krishna is always helping and guiding us. And especially when we leave everything in his hands. And that's what I had, because of my practice, I was developing that Krishna consciousness way of looking at things, way of conducting myself. And I could see that, Krishna has something very special in mind. And I took the job with a lot of enthusiasm. And in fact, again, because of by grace of Krishna and by grace of Guru Parampara, I actually spent 4 years doing amazing work. Even I surprised myself because I developed some award-winning plans and programs at City of Sydney. Even won an $8 million grant for the city when I was told that the city had never won a grant more than $2 million. So, it was quite an achievement even for the city. And of course, I was instrumental in making that happen. And in 2013, soon after I finished my term with City of Sydney, the reason I finished was Sydney Water is a very reputed, largest water utility in Australia, hired me to help them build their innovative new water strategy. And I, again, enthusiastically joined the organization, but somehow there was this intense feeling of dissatisfaction and restlessness that started to come. And it was not a dissatisfaction of a material kind, because it was also, it came along with an internal calling. And that internal calling was very strong. And that calling was that, I should go to India to serve Krishna by applying the water expertise and the experience that I have got purely because by grace of Krishna. So this calling, initially, I thought I was trying to ignore it, not ignore, but I couldn't know how do I go to India? When you're tied up with a job somewhere in Australia and you have not worked in the country, in India, for 25 years, for more than 20 years, you have been not working there. How do I go? But then with full faith in Krishna, all I did was, in fact, 1 year I had failed attempts, at 12 months of failed attempts by communicating by email to water professionals in India to say if I could come. Then in 2016, after many failed attempts at email communication, I took a 2-week visit to 6 cities to meet some water professionals randomly and NGOs. And that, again, because I took a small step with full faith in Krishna, I actually landed, which I had not expected, I landed a 2-month assignment in 2017. And that, in 2017, I arrived here in India with a 2-month assignment, which then extended to 1 year. So I actually quit my job in Australia because I got a long-term, role. And I started helping the water and sanitation NGOs in India. I traveled to a lot of cities to understand firsthand how the water, issues are manifesting themselves at the infrastructure level, at the people level, at the, at the organization levels, and that was very helpful. Then in 2020, post-COVID, I took the opportunity to actually travel to villages in North India to understand the rural water scene in first-hand way, because I wanted to really know how could I, what could I be doing to help the water situation. And I was using my time to really understand before I decide to do something. And then in 2021, very recently, actually, I actually got the clarity and I got the inspiration, which again, always guided by Krishna. When we are taking every step in Krishna consciousness, Krishna is always guiding us. And I got the clarity and I waited. So from 2017 to 2021, 4 years, I did not set up anything. But then once I got the inspiration and clarity, I have registered a water impact social business or an NGO called Jal Smruti Foundation, whose mission is to create this awareness and mindset change about respect, develop more respect and reverence towards water through healing and nurturing the natural water cycle. So therefore, we have our vision is to make our world Sujalam Sufalam. Because why? Because without the vegetation or without being Sufalam, we cannot be Sujalam. Because Sujalam and Sufalam go hand in hand. And that is the reason that became our mantra to guide us. And it is only because of Krishna that imagine someone, when I thought I couldn't come to India, now I'm working for the last 4 years for the cause of water. So in conclusion, all I would like to say is that my spiritual journey has many million steps. It began with one. And when we take even one faltering step, even if it's a faltering step towards Krishna, he takes 1,000 steps towards us and brings us closer to him. He's very kind. Krishna is kind, and always have full faith in Krishna. And we will achieve our full human potential when we do that. Thank you. And Hare Krishna.
Yes. Yes. So we have heard her, and it is so that we met in a virtual meeting, and I didn't have much interaction, but then the only starting point was in our conversation, I saw Bhakti in her name, and then I started searching and then find that she is very much deeper. I went through many of her research papers, and she has worked so intensely in sustainability part of water resources, of course, in Australian context. So, and towards the end of her talk, you might be feeling once she comes to the point of talking in spiritual terms, spiritualization of water and sustainability, she becomes very emotionally charged. And this emotion comes from her deeper inner thinking about the concepts which we have in our Vedic literature, which is learning, still learning. With these notes, if any of our members have any question, we will keep it reserved. In the meantime, I'm feeling happy that Professor Devendra Mohan, our first speaker, he has already joined, and so I will welcome him. Professor Devendra Mohan, I really welcome you from the core of my heart. I was feeling whether it is posing some difficulty for you, but anyway, you are here. So welcome from our side. Can we have next slide? Yes, as a part of short introduction for the Professor Devendra Mohan. Professor Devendra Mohan is a professor of civil engineering at IIT BHU Varanasi. He obtained his BTech in civil engineering in 1987, MTech in 1989, and PhD in environmental engineering from Banaras Hindu University, Varanasi. He has an extensive, diverse, and rich experience in teaching, research, and testing, and consultancy in environmental engineering for more than 3 decades. His main research interests include control of trace toxins like arsenic and fluoride, microbiological treatment of water and wastewater, climate change, air pollution control, and environmental ethics. Professor Mohan has more than 100 research papers and articles published in reputed international and national journals, and has authored more than 25 chapters in different books published by Springer Nature. He has also been instrumental in designing reading materials and courses in environmental studies for universities in India and abroad. Professor Mohan is also Vice President of Ganga Mahasabha, which was established by Revered Pandit Madan Mohan Malviya ji more than a century ago to care for the holy river Ganga. He is associated with several social institutions, including International Arya Pratinidhi Sabha, Society for Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, Rotary Clubs, and Lions Clubs to bring awareness about methods of environmental protection. With such a great and vast, varied, experience, I welcome Professor Devendra Mohan. Professor Devendra Mohan will be talking on the title, From Shallow to Deep to Vedantic Ecology for Ensuring Environmental Sustainability in Development. So Professor Devendra Mohan, please.
Namaskar, Hare Krishna. Am I visible and audible? Hello.
Yes, sir.
Namaskar to everyone. Hare Krishna. Am I visible and audible to everyone?
You are audible, but not properly visible.
You can reset a little your camera.
Okay. Now is it all right?
A little better, but not very nice. Yeah, someone can help you.
Honey, we are trying actually. So if I can continue, I think my face might have been being seen.
No problem. No problem. You just make your video on and then you can talk.
So is it better? Hello.
Little better, but your camera can be little more shifted.
I don't know, maybe I thought TLC will give better facilities, but I am very sorry. I will not like to use these facilities in future.
No problem. You can go ahead. Professor Devendra Mohan, you can go ahead. No problem.
Am I visible, sir?
Yeah. I mean, your half face is visible. I mean, yeah.
If you permit me, I'm sorry for everything that is beyond my control, but I can only, please pardon me, all of you. This is what the system is. So anyway, may I start?
Yes,
Yeah.
sir. We can go ahead with your presentation mode.
Okay. So is the presentation seen at your end?
Yeah, it's visible.
Okay. So I am just continuing again. I beg pardon for something that has been completely beyond my control, and I may please be excused. Mera sabko namaskar, Hare Krishna, or please excuse me for all the things that have happened, which I never imagined, of course. So I hope now at least the presentation may be reaching at your ends. It's a
Yes,
long
but we see
presentation.
your presentation mode. Can you make it a full screen mode? Then we can see your both slides.
It is fully screen mode I have made.
In the
Already.
display setting, maybe you can swap the, up there is a display setting on top. No, on top you see display settings. Top right, top left, sorry, yeah. Swap presentation view, yes.
So
Yes, now it's perfect.
Is it
It's
visible?
better.
Is it visible now clearly?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So it's a big presentation visibly, but I will go fast. The pictorial part, I have kept it here for making everything clear without much speaking. And it is difficult also for me to speak because I am not well actually. So, but I shall try whatever best I can do. This problem came, I don't know. बहुत समस्या है यार, ये बार-बार अपने से ही ऑफ हो जाता है. So this is already clear. So just before you, I want to put in very brief, please, the consequences of industrial revolution and consumerism. And the pictures itself will tell everything. Of course, these are taken, the sources are written here, and you can see the artist's imagination and all others are here. These are the consequences of industrial revolution and consumerism. This is the Thames, and then I would compare it with Ganga ji here. These are the rivers in Varanasi, Varuna, Assi and Ganga. So what is Thames for England? Thames may not be a sacred or holy river, but for us Assi, Varuna and Ganga have been sacred or holy river, but we could not save it, though we called them with much big words at, you can say, in speaking. So this is something to be thought of. Where is the disconnect between words, action, and thoughts? Specifically, I would like to say in our context, at least Thames has improved a lot, but when our rivers will improve, it remains a question. तो यार पता नहीं अपने से ही ऑफ हो जाता है ये वीडियो अपने से मतलब हर मोमेंट पे ऑफ हो जा रहा है अपने से ही ऑफ हो जाता है so this is Ganga at Kanpur, you can see this is Ganga at Varanasi, worth laughing, and there are many more types of pollutants that have come into the environment, whether it is these are compounds or elements, all are here very much visible. I won't explain much because these are already, I mean, pictures are clear. And we can see such type of children as well as adults, grown-up people in Varanasi city itself, as well as around Varanasi. And I say with much sorrow that there is one big university named as Banaras Hindu University, which was founded by our illustrious founder to improve the country, to improve the surroundings, and to improve the world at third stage. And we have one very tertiary big medical college, we have IIT, we have many things more, but still around us, the situation continue to remain like this. So again, it's a question, you see. We have to look beyond something. Please excuse me for my harsh words or bitter words, or if they hurt anyone. We have to look into something. In our Bhakti tradition, Sanatan tradition, actually we have to worship the holistic divinity. It is not limited to something idol or some person or something like that. And if we are failing somewhere there, it's a question. On, I mean, the Sanatan Bhakti tradition itself. I am not talking of ISSQN or any other organization. What type of bhakti we are having in our mind, which is not translating in action and in thoughts. I mean, what type of bhakti is there in words, which is not translating in action? Because in our tradition, in our scriptures, which are regarded by all, I mean all traditions, whether it is Vaishnavism, whether it is Saivism, whether it is Shaktism, whether it is worshippers of Saur worshippers or Ganpati worshippers, or Dvait, Advait, Visishtadvait, or anyone, there is ultimately a holistic sense of devotion, which is somewhere missing. And this university was founded for this. And because of this connect in words, thoughts, and action, we have failed. So I appeal to everyone present, we have to reconsider and revisit our concept of bhakti. I think so. If I am wrong, of course, as I told, I apologized in the beginning itself. There is no intention to hurt anyone. There is no intention to be harsh to be anyone. There is no intention to be bitter to anyone. And if I am wrong, I stand open to be corrected, and I would be very happy if I am corrected. So these are the things that I have seen myself, and you can see around. I can give, there is a village named as Harsons in Varanasi district itself, where such situation can be seen. Then of course, cadmium pollution is there. These are all well-known facts. Varanasi, this situation is not there. It has been in Japan, and I mean, still some sufferers can be seen. Chromium problem around Kanpur, we can see it's there. Copper and such arsenic, etc. problem in Sonbad region, I myself have seen. You can visit and see the plight and suffering of the people who are around, who are known as tribals or scheduled tribes or something like. They are our own brothers and sisters. We are unable to help them. So all such things are happening around us. And of course, this Meenamata Way disease, let me tell you, in Sonbhadra region itself, the mercury concentration in air is so much. It is the highest in the world. People may be suffering. If they are not detected, if they are not tested positive, for example, someone is not tested positive for a disease, still the person may be having the pathogen of the disease. So if the people are not detected with the problem in our country, it may be the limitation of the survey also. It's not that they may not be around. So that we have to see. It is happening all around us. Arsenic is very much here. Starting from Bangladesh, we can see it in Balia, we can see it in Varanasi. Just a fast wrap up of what has happened because of industrial revolution and consumerism, just to satiate our physical needs, that to acquired needs. Satiating physical need, natural ones, is not a bad thing, but it is happening because of the unending acquired needs. So there are many adverse extremities which are happening nowadays. You can see ozone layer depletion, all such things are happening. Then greenhouse effect is there. It's all well known. I'm going very fast. It is inducing climate change. That is also very well known. And then this air pollution in our country. Once I had an opportunity to share a dais with a very, high politician. I would not like to name the person. And he mentioned it is an event around 20 years back, that he saw something big line of vehicles in United States, and then he just dreamt when this situation will come in our country. May God bless our country with this situation. I just said, sir, please do not pray the God for this. There will be disaster if it happens in our country. And again, the wrong policies adopted. Now we have traffic jams, air pollution in almost every city. Delhi, because it is well monitored, we can know. Varanasi may be more polluted. The narrow lanes may be more polluted. A small city may be much more polluted. It's only a matter that it is not monitored properly. So, but unfortunately, the plight of the people who suffer, whether it is monitored or not, the pollutant will act in the same way on everyone. Whether it is, told that you are exposed or not, it will act in the same way. Poison will always act in the same way. So this is acting, and this is happening all around our country. A city like Chembur area of Bombay itself, I would like, if someone is there from Bombay, in the next rain, first rain, please try to measure the acidity of the rain. You will understand our cities are having acid rains. It may be happening in Balaswat, where this keeps on working, keeps on burning solid waste. Like this Balaswat solid waste dump in Delhi. Measure the first rain pH. You will know our cities are having acid rains. The areas around them are having acid rains. So what type of development we are making, and will these acquired needs allow us to continue our existence? This has become a big question. This is a monument in Europe, which is well known, which has been corroded due to acid rain. Then there is soil pollution. All these factors are well known. Energy pollution, it is all around us. This is just, I am going very fast to show different dimensions in a very quick manner because time is limited. Then we are going from this 3G, 4G, 5G, and endless 6G, maybe 7G or something. They are telling on the health of environment, even trees, the birds, even children, adults, everyone, cattle. We may be enjoying the great androids and great connections, but our health is being affected. But what about the innocent life around us, the cattle, the birds, the trees? They are not enjoying any facility. Do we have heart? If bhakti is there, our heart should, cry for these innocent animals, cattle, birds, trees, then that will be the true sense. Sanatan Bhakti Parampara is like this only. And again I say, please correct me if I am wrong. I will be very happy. So then other comes like Uttarakhand, which has been a very cold place. Now it is facing forest fires because of wrong model of development for tourism and others, cutting of forests. Australia, everyone knows this. Actually, people have failed to understand why did this fire happen. The reason was rearing the animals for meat. That was the reason behind this fire. And I can prove it. Similarly, this Amazon forest fire, this fire was man-made intentionally so that forest is cleared, because otherwise if the government tried to clear the forest, there will be international pressure. So a fire was triggered and there was lackluster attempt to extinguish it. So it continued. Amazon is they are the lungs of the earth. And again, the purpose was to get the land for rearing animals for meat production. Okay. So it's very strange what is happening. Then glacier bursts are there. These are all well known. Rajasthan is facing intense floods. A dry desert region is facing intense floods. People can say it is climate change. It is just a part of the story. There are many things others also. To make concrete jungles, more than 120 hills and hillocks of Aravalli range have been blasted off. And so whole drainage pattern has changed. The prime culprit for such things is that this creating concrete jungles. Climate change is a smaller contribution it makes. Then we have floods in Mumbai. Mumbai is like a strip around on the seashore, and it has so much of stagnating water. It's a question on our engineering, on our ethics, and on all other such type of consumeristic approaches. Hyderabad, similar story, which is along the lakes. Then in Chennai, we have dried up Pujal lakes and others. Similarly, in Varanasi, we have dried up kunds. Many kunds have become extinct. So we have, this is very strange in our Sanatan. This is really in medieval ages, some disconnect has occurred. We ourselves in ivory towers in something like Bhakti or something else without connecting to the environment around. Divinity is equally present in the environment. Why don't we do Bhakti to that? It cannot be done in some ivory tower to some idol or to some picture. It has to be done in a holistic sense. That is our Vedantic tradition or Sanatan tradition. Again, I would say, I repeat, please correct me if I am wrong. So extreme droughts are there. On one end, there are extreme floods. On other end, there are extreme droughts. It's not climate change only. There are human interventions also, like drainage pattern changes and many more things. Then this is an eye-opener. There have been frequent outbreak of epidemics because of deforestation. This is the main reason. Of course, there may be some genetic engineering, genetically modified organisms, genetically engineered microorganisms. All such possibilities cannot be denied. But major reason is deforestation, just to get agricultural land, and that agricultural land, of course, is for meat production. Because the agricultural land by grain production can give enough to satisfy the hunger of whole humanity. This is deforestation is mainly done for development of cities, development of roads, dams, and many other things, just to satisfy the acquired needs of people who are away, and for meat production. Major reason is meat production. So these are the forests are the, lungs of the earth. If they are destroyed, you see, COVID has clearly given a message where from, what is the importance of trees? You see, oxygen was very important, but the oxygen producers are being destroyed. Can we produce oxygen if there is not enough oxygen in the atmosphere? Whether it is PSA system or any system that is used for, I mean, concentration of oxygen, it simply takes oxygen out from the atmospheric gases. If enough oxygen is not there, then what will happen? At least now the eyes must open. This Aravalli Hills destruction, as I told you, Rajasthan floods and many more things. And then Zika virus outbreak. You see, this must not have happened in a place like Rajasthan, which is hot and arid. The mosquito has very adverse situation there for breeding and enhancing their pollution and then, enhancing their population and then spread the disease. But it happened, and it happened in a big way. And now, of course, it has spread to other parts of the country also. It has come to UP and other states. Reason is destruction of the Aravalli Hills, cutting the forests, changing the drainage pattern for creating concrete jungles. And now the climate of Rajasthan has changed from hot arid to hot humid, which is very good for the breeding of mosquito. For, I mean, their population can flourish and they can infect many more people. And this is what has been continuously expanding. Zika has been expanding now to other states. Still our eyes are closed. Actually, at least we people in Bharat should understand. Unfortunate part is that when we are Indian, we are not Bharatiya, neither we are European. This is the basic tragedy with our mindset. So we always think in a Trisanku manner. Trisanku, I hope all of you know. And this Trisanku manner thinking is total disconnect with the surroundings, sitting in some ivory towers, making some assumptions, making some imaginations, making some models, and then trying to implement it according to one's sweet wills without taking the needs of the surrounding or surrounding people and the life at large, that is the cattle, animals, trees, birds at large into consideration. At least we, the people in Bharat, the followers of Sanatan, were expected not to do so. But unfortunately, we are apping much the same model of the West of physical development. Because we are apping, much more disaster is taking place here than what happened in Europe or in American continent or in Australian continent. So my prayer to all of you, again, we have to see the bhakti in a holistic manner, and that must translate in our scientific thinking as well as in action, not in words only, in thought and action. Then only some change may come. So let me give a very fast glimpse once again. In less than for 4 decades, or maybe in 4 decades, we have faced around 15 viral infections for, I mean, there is no cure available even now. Vaccines also 100% surety, for none of them it is available. So it started from HIV in around 1980s, then came Nipah. These are the transmission cycle, then African swine fever, then came MERS, Middle East respiratory syndrome, MERS COVID, this MERS coronavirus transmission. So this spread like this, then avian influenza or bird flu, then Ebola, and then Corona in 2000, then again Corona, that is novel coronavirus, NCV 2019. Again, as I told you, the possibility of human mischief, that is genetically engineered microorganisms, is always there. But again, even if it is happening, it is because of acquired needs. Certain countries or certain people are trying to overpower the whole globe by hooks or by crooks. Or this is certainly related to deforestation and without any doubt related to non-vegetarianism, which has been expanding at a large level. Unfortunately, in our country, in Europe and in Europe, Australia, American continents and others, this is going down. People are becoming vegetarian, but unfortunately in our country, it is rising. You can see the data. Benefits of trees, I need not to explain. Can forests save? They only save us. And in fact, forests are our antiviruses. As an antivirus saves a computer or a laptop or a mobile, the forest saves us from the attacks of different types of viruses, bacteria, and other pathogens that come to human being through close interaction of wildlife human conflict, which arise more with deforestation. What may be the solution? So very fast, again, I would say shallow ecology was proposed. This was the first one, but this has failed completely. The basic idea was anthropocentrism or utilitarianism, and it was that, okay, just set some permissible limits, and within these permissible limits keep on discharging, whether in air, whether in soil, whether in water, it is acceptable. But that can be very simply, just by a simple calculation on your table, you can show that, you can see that this approach is totally unscientific and baseless, but it has been in practice, and unfortunately it is still in practice. But this has failed because this could not protect the environment in any dimension. So this is just a pictorial view for the shallow ecology approach. As I told you, anthropocentrism is the basic idea behind it, that everything which makes good for human beings should be done. There is no care for the animal world, there is no care for the plant world. The human beings have started considering themselves as other than animal and plant world, something super species on that earth, on this earth, which must dominate every other species. And this is the result of that. So this just a pictorial view is given. Then when this shallow ecology or utilitarianism or anthropocentrism failed, then there was thought on biocentrism. It just extended to other life forms. But again, there these traces of shallow ecology continued, that okay, put some permissible limits. Of course, these permissible limits were made more stringent, but this has also not worked well. But of course, it led to some improvement. So here it was not protect only, but have some respect also, have some regard also. Then came next is the ecocentrism. Biocentrism actually only gave some regard to living forms, but ecocentrism gave regard to non-living part also, abiotic elements, that is biotic element, biocentrism, abiotic elements also. Then this becomes something like ecocentrism. So still it is to be truly put into practice. That is the reality of the day. So ecocentrism, again, this protect because of the element of respect or regard. So here you see in this slide, anthropocentrism and this something like ecocentrism, they are compared. Human being become one amongst all other species in case of biocentrism or ecocentrism, while in case of anthropocentrism, human is at the center of concern or command. Then came something like, you can say, nature centrism or deep ecology sort of thing, where there was something like mysticism or romanticism, something like these elements crept in. And then, of course, in literature, English literature, that there is something beyond our physical perception which is present in nature, and so the nature must be protected because we cannot understand it. So if it is destroyed, it may be destroyed forever. It may not be regenerated. So it must be protected. So such type of movements in literature were there. So this deep ecology, or you can say nature centrism sort of thing started. There have been movements, there have been some court cases also in countries like United States and in certain countries of Europe, that these hills must not be blasted off because this has its own importance and this has its right to exist. This river should not be polluted because this has right to remain clean. But of course, very sadly, I would say, the people or the organizations who filed these cases, I mean these lawsuits, and who fought these fought the legal battle, could not win because the law was not there to take this philosophy into account. So ultimately, even now in practice, it remains largely the shallow ecology. Whatsoever may be the movement, whatsoever may be good writings in literature, whatsoever may be big words by the people, but still action is missing by the collective national or international community. And that is more or less still limited to shallow ecology level. So these are some of the slides that just to explain. Then spiritual ecology, this picture is enough to tell what does it mean. But again, it's nothing like to be nothing there is nothing like which has been put into practice like this. This is just a comparative table between the three. Now about Vedantic ecology, I would like to put in bit detail. Just of course, because I have lost some time because of my own faults. So I am trying to go very fast, but this Vedantic ecology is something like Vedic view of how we should understand the ecosystems around us. It includes all of the life forms, and in Vedantic ecology or in Vedic thinking or in Sanatan thinking or in Dharmic thinking, you see the life is not limited to something that we consider as life. Even a hill has life, even a river has life, even earth has life, even a pond has life. And that is what has been the traditions in Sanatan. And these traditions, in fact, had protected the rivers like Ganga, had protected the hills for centuries and centuries, had protected the forests. These traditions had protected the trees. These traditions had inspired the people to plant more trees, to do something more. But unfortunately, the education system, I would not like to name, everyone knows what type of education system has been here. That has been systematically washed out the importance of this thinking. And so here the disaster is much more. So let me tell you, in Vedantic ecology or Vedic ecology, how is it different from all other concepts like biocentrism, ecocentrism, or nature centrism, or romanticism, or anything like that, the movements, or even deep ecology that started in West, that they could not go beyond the life which is traditionally understood as life. With the Vedic ecology, we consider everything as life. Even hill has life, even stone has life. Yes. And then only the real protection can be there, because the ecosystem, the biotic, abiotic components are well intertwined, well interconnected. If any of them is disturbed, other cannot remain without being disturbed. So this only is the holistic approach, which if it is imbibed truly in thoughts, and then it comes in words and action, and the disconnect is removed, this may save the world, and truly this may save Bharat. And we people who are the followers of Sanatan Dharma have the honors to do it. And this may start in case of environmental sustainability, when the disconnect in our words, thoughts, and action for the surroundings disappear, because this Vedic ecology considered whole of the things as divine. That divinity is not limited to a temple, that is not limited to an idol, that is not limited to a book, that is not limited to a picture, and that is not limited to a person or anything else. So environmental sustainability in development can truly be achieved. And of course, the happiness of the whole world may certainly go up, provided we can show the way. And we have the potential, only thing we have to take initiative. So this Isavasyopnisad tells everything about sustainable development. This is the first mantra, Isavasimidam sarvam yatkinchi jagatyam jagat ten tyakten bhunjitha magridah kasya dhanam. Everywhere, it's the divinity permeates everything. Divinity permeates everywhere. It's omnipresent. And this is the first principle of ecology. Everything is connected to everything else. If divinity permeates everywhere, if divinity permeates everything, if divinity is omnipresent, then naturally everything is connected to everything else. But when we say, when some, book in English is published from some country in West, which says this is the first principle of ecology, we Indian will certainly follow it blindly. But Isavasyopnisad, there may be many questions. I really wonder, because we are Indians, again I told you, a Trisanku can think like that only. We are neither Bharatiya nor European. We have to think how much disconnects exist. So again, this Advait Vedanta, Srimad Bhagavad Pad Adi Sankaracharya, he said the same thing. Brahma Satyam Jagat Mithya Jivo Brahmao Napara. This Jagat Mithya does not mean that the universe is unreal. Universe is continuously in change. It's not immutable. That is why he said it is unreal. It exists. There is nothing like it does not exist. It has been wrongly, misinterpreted. It has been badly misinterpreted. The world, the universe is equally existing as the Brahm. Rather, it is the extension of Brahm. And since it is extension of Brahm, so naturally the Jeev which are in the universe are part of the Brahm. So Jeev, the stone is Jeev, river is Jeev, air is Jeev, human being is Jeev, cow is Jeev, a pig is Jeev, a bird is Jeev, a tree is Jeev. So if we have that type of holistic reverence to life, Jeev at large, automatically the sense of protection will come with reverence. And this has been given place in our constitution also. The incarnations of Vishnu, Lord Ram is there. And you might have all, known all these stories like serving the Jatayu. And all such things are known. I'm going very fast. All these things are very well known in our traditions. Then Bhagwan Sri Krishna is here in the part 4th, and his concern for the immediate surroundings is well known, and all this is visible. This Kaliya Nag was not killed. If you read, it was asked, it was given an exile from that place by Bhagwan Sri Krishna. Go away from Yamuna, don't poison it. It was not killed by Bhagwan Krishna. So that is the sense of respect for life. Even if we can kill, we don't kill. So these are some of the pictures which are self-explanatory. So Vibhuti Yoga chapter 10 in Srimad Bhagavad Gita very clearly says, everything is the manifestation of God, and you are the lovers and readers of Bhagavad Gita. You may be knowing better than me. So this is the Slok 39, Yachapi Sarva Bhuta Nam Bijam Tadaham Arjun Natadasti Vinayat Syanmaya Bhutam Characharam. That expresses the same thing what the first mantra of Isavasyopnisad says, Isavasimidam Sarvam. That is, divinity permeates everywhere. This also expresses the same thing in other words. And then whatever you see as beautiful, glorious, or powerful, know it to spring from but a spark of my splendor. That is everything, the at root is the divinity. In ISKCON tradition, one can say Bhagwan Sri Krishna. In Sav tradition, one can say Bhagwan Shiv. In Sak tradition, one can say Devi. In Saur tradition, one can say Surya. In Gadpati tradition, one can say Gadpati. Or other ways. In Dvait, Advait, Visishtadvait, we can say, but everything, one and one point is there, that everything has its roots in divinity. Everything is based on divinity, and everything is intrinsically divine. So then Vishwarup Darshan Yoga, there it is clearly mentioned, all the rivers, all the trees, even they were seen, all the hillocks or the hills were seen by Arjun in the body of Bhagwan Sri Krishna. So you people might have read it. Then Bhagwan Buddha is there, who is also incarnation of Lord. Bhagwan Buddha is there, who is also incarnation of Bhagwan Vishnu in part 5 of the Indian Constitution. And we know his concern for the environment. All these stories are known. And this quote may be very good. Ego is just like dust in the eyes. Lord Bhagwan Buddha says, why we are divine, but why do we commit so many mistakes? It is because of the ego or Maya or the something like that. Why? Because it is just like the dust in the eyes. Without clearing the dust, we can't see anything clearly. So clear the dust, that is the ego, and see the world. Then only we can take right action. So your biggest enemy or my biggest enemy is my own ego, because it is sitting like dust in my eyes, and so I am unable to see the world clearly. So I am unable to decide my action clearly. I am unable to decide my words clearly. I am unable to decide my thoughts clearly in relation to the surroundings around. And again, ninth incarnation of Bhagwan Vishnu, that is Bhagwan Buddha, his concern for the world is very much clearly seen. And the 542 Jatak tales, they clearly say that he was in different, forms of even animals and plants in the Jatak tales. Then this part 6th, that is of our Indian Constitution, Mahavir Swami is there, who also we the Sanatan followers regard him as Bhagwan. And this ahimsa is the ahimsa, satya, aste, brahmacharya, parigraha are their panchsil. And this ahimsa means this non-violence and kindness to living beings is kindness to oneself. Why should one have ahimsa? Because when one is kind to other living beings, one will be kind to oneself also. Please note once again, here living beings don't mean exactly the same thing what they mean in the eye of traditional European thinkers. That is some life forms. No. Even a stone is living, as I told you. In Sanatan traditions, this is the basic difference. Everywhere there is divinity. Nothing is without life. Nothing is non-living. So these are some of the pictures which can be seen. Then Guru Nanak, who is considered as the incarnation of Rajarsi Janakji, he said, air is the Guru, water the father, and earth the great mother. The mantra of Rigved, Mata Bhumi, Putro Ham Prithivya. So this you can see on Guru Granth Sahib, page 8. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is concerned, for the life can be very well understood. And in fact, it is, I have read, a story, that is his biography written by many great writers. Then when he used to pass through the forest, making kirtan of Bhagwan Sri Krishna, even the wild animals, the violent animals used to come out of the forest, and they used to start dancing in sort of, extreme joy with him. The upliftment of spirit was so high, because he could really perceive, and he could really practice, and he could really say that divinity is everywhere. There was no disconnect in his words, his thoughts, and in his action. So it translated immediately into the surroundings also. Now, Swami Vivekananda, let me just refer. What do we call the river? Every moment the water is changing, the shore is changing, every moment the environment is changing. What is the river then? It is the name of this series of change. I mean, very beautifully he has defined the river of the universe. And that is why this universe has been called unreal. But kindly, please do not misunderstand it to be non-existent. No, unreal is different from non-existent. External nature is the only internal nature which is manifested outside. So, because we are basically the same, Yat Brahmande Tat Pinde, and its reverse, Yat Pinde Tat Brahmande. This is the mantra. Then revered Prabhupada Ji Maharaj, everything is perfectly being done by nature. Nature is appointed by Bhagwan Krishna. Okay, but a Sev will say by Bhagwan Sev, a Sakt will say by Devi, a Saur will say by Surya, a Gadpati will say by Gadpati, and all of them are equally correct. A Vedanti will say by Brahm, a Dvait Vedanti will be something different, a Visishtadvait will say something different. So there is no scope for fighting on this. I appeal to everyone, we should not stick to, very narrow line of thinking that only this is correct. Whether it is created by Shiv or Shakti or Krishna or Surya or Gadpati, it is divine. Most important is this, or Brahm or anything else. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, this Madhyaksena Prakriti Suyate Sa, under my control, so Prakriti will work very nicely provided you are also nice. That is, one is in Krishna consciousness, or one is in Shiv consciousness, or one is in Devi consciousness. I would like to put it that way with the permission from all of you who are present here. Then again, revered Dr. T.D. Singh Saab, actually he has done a great job by making effort to bring science and spirituality together. Let me say one thing. Please do not misunderstand me. Of course, the Honorable Chairman, Professor Prabhat Kumar Singh Saab said I should not say Sanatan and Dharma term much emphatically, but we have been working for long and we have seen this Sanatan Dharma is completely scientific. It's completely scientific. It can be mathematically proven. And I need the, good wishes of everyone here that we are able to put this work before the eyes of everyone, and we would like to be challenged, we would like to be criticized, and so we will have chance to improve. Sanatan Dharma is completely scientific. It can be mathematically proven. So of course, when Paramadharaniya Dr. T.D. Singh Ji or Damodar Swami, when he tried to do it, perhaps he had in mind that the religions which are not based on science or which have some science in them, they also come together and maybe at later stage realize that they have to evolve to come to a level when science and dharma, they become one. Because dharma and science are not contradictory. Dharma and science are one. This can be very easily understood. This can be mathematically proven also. So scientific and religious paths, of course, religion is different from dharma. This we must understand. This we must understand. Actually, the problems, religion always divides. Dharma always unites. So religion is entirely different from dharma. So of course, his effort to bring all religious paths together on a scientific line is certainly commendable, and I have great respect for him for this purpose. But we must not understand that dharma need any further scientific correction. Dharma is completely scientific. I say with full conviction, and of course, say 5 years back, I was not so sure, but now I am, and it can be mathematically proven. Scientific and religious paths are like two streams of the creative human mind. Yes, if it is religion, fine, it is creative human mind. But when it is dharma, the creative human mind has to accept certain things which are happening in nature by the divinity. Right? Science is happening in nature, dharma is also happening in nature. It's not the creation of creative human mind. Religion, of course, is. The scientific path tries to explain the nature of reality within rationality, right? Whereas the religions or spiritual path, we should again differentiate here. Religion and spirituality are not same. Does so within and beyond the rationality. Now, time is not there, so I won't discuss much. Our constitution also says much about our duties to protect environment. Then these are the avatars of Bhagwan Vishnu. Up to Bhagwan Buddha, these have taken place. Kalki has to come. So this is according to Srimad Bhagavatam, and this is according to Darwin's theory of evolution. Right? Fine. But one thing you see, one statement by Bhagwan Buddha will merge these two together. He said, all Jeev are our ancestors. Now you see whether you see this slide, the fish, the tortoise, then others, or the next slide, the fish, the tortoise, the apes, and others, they are our ancestors. The flaw in thinking has come that human beings think that only their father, their mother, or their grandfather, their grandmother are their ancestors. We have got ancestry from these, whether it is Darwin's theory of evolution based on atheism, or it is Srimad Bhagavatam. Let me make it clear. We should not criticize Darwin too much. He has, relieved the Europe and other parts of the world which have been very much under intense suffering at that time. I won't like to mention, you can read the history and understand. Both Marx and Darwin have done yeoman's job in certain context. So, this is again the Darwin's theory, which is based on atheism, and then evolution according to Srimad Bhagavatam. I don't find any difference if we want to take some lessons for action for achieving environmental sustainability and development. Both the thoughts merge into the same thing. All the beings are our ancestors, so we must respect them. Bhagwan Buddha has told it around 2,300 years back.
Mr. Devendra Mohan,
I am over, sir. I am over. I want to, it should be finished now, sir.
Yes. You can take 2 more minutes.
Okay, so I'm just putting these. This is all known very well. And Srimad Bhagavad Gita itself, it is told that this universe or the world is like inverted Ashwatth tree. And this is here. So this also says the same thing. This tree connects everything, that is all beings. Living term I don't use because all beings, stone is a being, river is a being, air is being, and we have the connected gods for them. And then this family of Shiv is a great example of universal coexistence amongst the enmity. You see, Nandi is there, lion is there, Mayur is there, then snake is there, and then the rat is there. And then you see, this is wonderful coexistence of universal ecology or Vedantic ecology. One can understand starting from family to society, that is social ecology, to a region, to a nation, and to international level. and to whole universe. This can be expanded. And this, you see, science, the great, I really appreciate these great scientists at CERN. They took this inspiration from Bhagwan Nataraj, and this idol of Nataraj is there, but not for worshipping in the traditional sense. They are doing the true worship of Bhagwan Nataraj at CERN. They are translating it in action. What they thought, same thing came in their words, and same thing they are translating in action. Will we Bharatiya ever learn this thing from them? This is the commendable thing they have done. Will we learn it? I leave this question with everyone who is here. Then Om Dyo Santirantariksam Santi, Prithvi Santi, Rapa Santi, Rosadya Santi, Vanaspatya Santir, Vishwer Devya Santi, Brahma Santi, Sarva Santi, Santirev Santi, Shama Shanti Redi, Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. This Santi mantra one can understand so well. Shanti must not be within a person, it must not be within a family, it must not be within a community, it must not be within a society, it must not be within a state or a nation or within two countries. It must permeate through everything. So this is Vedantic ecology, just a glimpse. And I really appreciate Mr. Kapil Sharma, my very dear favorite MTech student, Mr. Rohit Kushwaha, my PhD scholar, and Ms. Sonam for extending their kind help. I might have not been able to make this presentation because I have been suffering for more than 3 weeks from some very difficult health problem. So thanks a lot. I really feel grateful, and Kapil Sharma has helped me very much in seeing with this system presentation happen. So I extend my gratitude to everyone present. I extend my gratitude to Professor Pk Singh sir, the chairman of the session, and Dr. Devashish Khan sir, who is coordinating this event, that they considered me worth of sharing my ideas with the august audience. I once again say, if I have been any harsh, any bitter, please excuse me, intention was not there. And if I have been wrong, I would be grateful if you kindly correct me, but not on the basis of just thinking. Please prove it rationally. I will apologize and agree with you and follow you. It should not be just on that I think that you are wrong, so you are wrong. No, that's not the way. It should be rational, logical, and again scientific. So thanks a lot to everyone, and to chairman and coordinators much more. And once again I apologize for being late in connection because of these situations beyond my control. I hope everyone will excuse me. So hearty thanks and congratulations for such a nice event.
Thank you, Professor Devendra Mohan. It was really great to hear from you, and really uncovering the issues, challenges in broader context, reaching up to Vedantic ecology, then talking from Vedantic technology to Advait and all Indian philosophical perspective, and then touching upon various parts of Constitution of India, Guru Nanak Dev, Lord Mahavir, Buddha, and how our constitutional fathers, they have imbibed those things in our practice for Indian Constitution. So really thank from the core of my heart. It was wonderful. Before I go further, I saw one question in the chat box. So it will be nice if you can, Deepankar.
Yes, I
Yeah.
have many questions in my chat box here.
Yeah,
So I
yeah.
will read it out to you, sir. So
Yeah, yeah.
the first question is from P. Pranav from SSSIHLAP. He says, it's from the first part of the presentation, I guess. He says, sir, I agree that all of these are negative externalities of industrial revolution, but where would we be if we would not go for industrial revolution, economic advancement, and we should not forget Pareto optimality?
Okay, so may I start, sir?
Yeah, yeah, please, it is for you.
Actually, I'm thankful to the person. He is not wrong. His question is excellent, but again, it rises from the utilitarian or anthropocentric mindset. You see, I would advise the gentleman, and I would help him also. I mean, nowadays, this open source has a lot of references he can find. This country, Bharat, has produced around 35% of the GDP of the world, having its rivers clean, having its forest intact. Actually, the problems arose when this country was enslaved. I can discuss how it was enslaved, what was the problems, that is not the issue. I would refer this person, please read, there is one note to Indian Industrial Commission 1916 to 1918 by revered Mahavana Madan Mohan Malviya ji, who has been awarded Bharat Ratna very late. It is around 100-page book. It is published by National Book Trust. You can find it from the archives of money. This is available and you read. And here clearly he says the poverty of India is because of the exploitation by the English, and the industrial revolution has been driven by the loot of this Indian subcontinent. And he has given references of the European and American historians. Unfortunate part is that our young men don't know this part of the history, and they feel that industrial revolution has given a great, yes, it has done something, but somewhere it should stop. Our acquired needs, if they keep on growing. You see, I have this mobile phone. G5, is it really needed for us? Some G6 will come, will it really be needed? See, there should be a limit to our acquired needs, because are we here to enjoy everything? Do the other life forms have no right? Do the next generation have no right for the fresh water, for the clean air, for the unpolluted soil? Do they have no right? Should we become so selfish that we should enjoy everything and exhaust the resources? There should be a limit, right? And this actually, the person, gentleman, is not wrong. Actually, our education has been like this only. Economy, let me tell you, economics, what is that? Dig a pit, fill a pit. So there has been an activity. So there has been some employment generation. Make a canal and then report that there is water logging, then fill that canal. So there has been a lot of generation of employment. Make a road, in rain it is flushed away, then create a road again. So see, economics should not be understood in a blind manner. Nowadays, there is environmental economics, which takes the environmental issues also in concern. So economics should not be considered devoid of environmental sustainability. Otherwise, even economics cannot be achieved. Economy cannot grow. If Ganga River becomes dried up, more than 50 crore population will have threat to death. So what type of economy will be this? So this gentleman actually is not wrong. This arises because our thinking have been very much compartmentalized, lopsided, and in piecemeal manner. That is why such questions arise. And then there may be, I mean, more questions like this. But again, I would say, please think in a holistic manner. It will take time. Improve your reading beyond what is produced by so-called historians of this country after independence, celebrated so-called. Please read some good European historians. Read this book by Malviya ji. This will be an eye-opener. And I don't say this data is there, around 35% of the GDP Bharat was producing without pollution. And we were the richest country, militarily most powerful country. Then one can say how we were enslaved because of our own faults, which we still keep on harboring and carrying.
Professor Devendra Mohan, there is another question. Yeah,
Right.
Pankaj, yeah.
Yes, there's one more questions from Dr. Debashish Khan. He says, thank you very much, sir, for your nice presentation. Can you
Thank you,
please
sir.
give some reflections on when this new coronavirus infection will be reduced to a significantly low and how? People all over the world are very much eager to know about it.
Sir, I think only Bhagwan Krishna can tell it truly. Okay. But if I see from my very little knowledge in this field of community health and such type of contagious disease, because this comes in environmental engineering, it may, I mean, up to at least 2025, before it becomes something like cold virus or flu virus, we should take precautions up to 2025. Okay. And see, this 2025, Bhagwan Krishna can make it happen tomorrow, but it is only he can answer that way. But I mean, my simple understanding or my meager understanding of the issues, I think 2025.
Yeah, and Pankaj, there is another question which reads, what is that present in London but absent in Varanasi, for which Thames is clean while Ganga is polluted?
Great. I have answered, my friend. May I know your good name?
Dipankar, can you help me? I'm
So
not in a position. Yeah.
This question which is being sent to you, so I cannot see it.
Okay.
It is Dr. Puran Chandra.
Okay. So
Yeah.
Dr. Puran Chandra ji, actually I had answered this question. Perhaps you might have not noted it. You see, the basic problem, as I told you, we have become Indian. India, that is Bharat. Why not? See, this is the only country that has two names. Very strange. We have become Indians. I told you, we are in a Trisanku state. That is, neither we are European nor we are Bharatiya. So we neither act in European way, neither we act in Bharatiya way. We are in a Trisanku. Trisanku, you please just log on Google. You can find some. Trisanku is a very good character to explain our situation. So actually the thing is, there is disconnect between what we think, then what we say, and then what we do. This is the basic problem, and that is causing problem with Ganga, Yamuna, with air, with soil, with everything. Not, I mean, Thames and Ganga, it is just a reflection. It is creating problem with everything. Even with this COVID infection, are we really, you can find some people giving lecture on its severity, but not having mask themselves. So, so this is the problem, that there is disconnect between in our thoughts, in our words, and in our action. So yes, there are wonderful, very sublime people in this country, but collectively we have to, I mean, rise up somewhere. Dekhiye, CERN could understand what is Bhagwan Nataraj. Can this statue of Nataraj be placed on the gate of some IIT? Tomorrow there will be Halla Gulla. See, this is the problem.
Professor Devendra Mohan.
Sir, let me just give one line. We have so much of, I mean, disconnect in our thoughts, in our words, and in our action. And we are so much timid people. Anybody can say, don't say this, we will not say this. Even if we are right, somewhere we have to think, don't do this, we will not do that. don't think this, we will not think that. So then what is the meaning of anyway?
We have a few very good questions from Niket from CMRIT Bangalore. He has raised a few questions. He says, in what context we need to develop holistic perspective in a spirituality domain to reduce world problems? The second question he is putting.
Sir, one by one, sir, one by one.
Yeah. So, and we have
first one, sir, will you please read it again, sir, please?
I will read it, but I have to wind up this session within 3 minutes. Okay, so I'm reading the question for the benefit of all audience and to your attention. In what context we need to develop holistic perspective in a spirituality domain to reduce world problems?
It is already there.
Yeah.
It is already there in Sanatan traditions. We need not to develop anything new. It had been developed more than 5,000 years back.
Okay, the next question
goes. You have to understand, realize, and practice it.
How water cycle gets extreme misutilization, since on one side we say water is eternal and it comes back to water cycle and can be well treated. This is next question. And the third question is that from the Niket, why eating meat for humans is considered wrong, since humans are built omnivorous, not just herbivorous, and there are some wild animals.
No, it's a wrong perception. It's a wrong, sir. Let me react. It's a completely wrong perception. Scientifically, it can be proven that humans are herbivores, vegetarian. He is again, I mean, reading some misled literature, which is influencing his mind. Scientifically, it has been proven. So that earlier it was thought humans are not omnivorous. No, they are not.
Okay, and then there is some last comment which is coming from unidentified.
And sir, about the second question, I would say it is the redistribution and accumulation of contaminants in water that even if the quantity remains there, it may not be usable. Rather, it may not be even touchable, what to say of drinking, what to say of using for irrigation or cooking. So it is the redistribution, changes, transformation, and loading with pollutants that affects the water cycle. Yes, sir.
Okay, so there are many questions, and I believe the organizers will send it to Prof Devendra Mohan. I will just take another 1 minute to summarize for this session. The entire gamut of this environment, sustainable development that has been going on, the issues of environmental challenges and all. So in the environmental ethics domain, the problem lies that in the Western science, when they discuss ethics, they define that it can be applied only to persons, quote unquote. And they are not in a position to define well this person, who are the persons. So the natural resources are not taken as persons. So they say, our ethics or environmental ethics cannot be applied to resources. And as Professor Devendra Mohan has very lucidly dealt, in our Indian or Eastern thought, all these systems have been given Jiva Swarup. So Eastern thoughts are well, I mean, they cover this as a person, Dharti Mata. Or so in our rivers are given as persons. So, I mean, Vedantic philosophy is well beyond that. This is first part of my remarks. The second part, before I conclude, is recently I was going through a publication by an Sri Lankan developmental philosopher or developmental policy philosopher. His name is Rohana Ulvesha. He has published in 2014 a book called Spirituality and Sustainable Development. I will advise all seekers or eager people to go through that book. It is really a wonderful book. I mean, defining the entire science and the issues related with the modern sustainable development and the solutions for that. Finally, he says that this self-centeredness and greed are the cause of all these, and spirituality provides the solution for these challenges which the humanity is facing today in the direction of sustainable development. So I will stop here and I will hand over to Dipankar ji to go ahead. Thank you.
Thank you so much for this wonderful interactive session. We have a lot of questions and we'll address them later through emails. So I would like
Dipankar sir, just a very brief interruption.
Yes.
May I get the emails of all others? And I would request you, sir, kindly give my telephone number to them so that I can discuss on phone. Actually, my eye is facing much problem, so I may not be able to write big email answers.
Okay.
Yes, so we will forward all the details. We can discuss this after the, offline.
My phone number may be given to them. My phone number
may
be given.
We will give it to them. Yes, thank you, sir. We will do this. We'll connect you with the participants.
Thank you, sir. And
but due to the time constraint,
if you can give me the email contacts of all of them for later use.
Yes,
Thank you so much, sir. Sorry for interruption.
Thank you so much. Yes. We would like to quickly move on to our next item, that is a bit refreshing, a cultural program for before we start our third session, the final session of the day, and it's a Dashavatara Stotram. And without any further delay, I would like to play, and I hope all of us will enjoy it.
Mantramulang Guru Vaikya Vaikya Mulang Guru Kripa Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah Pralaya Payodhi Jale Dhitavan Shivedam Bihita Vahita Saritram Khedam Kheti rati vipulatare tabatri stati pristhe रूपा जया जगदीश हरे वसति दशन शिखरे धरणी तव लग्ना साक्षिणी कलंक कले बंगिमाना केशवधीता शुकर रूप जया जगदीश हरे शिंगम दलित हिरण्यकशिपुतनु लिंगम केशवधीता नरहरि रूप जया जगदीश हरे शिवक्रमणे बलिमाभूतवामन पदनखनीरजनित जनपावन केशवधीता वामन रूप जया जगदीश हरे पाप खेतिर रुधिर माये जगत पागत पाप स्नापयसि पयसि समित भावं तापं केशवधीता भिगुवती रूप जय जगदीश हरे भीतरसि दिख्युरान दिक्पते कमनीयं भीतरसि दिख्युरान दिक्पते कमनीयं दशमुख मौलिवर्णि रामणि दशमुख मौलिवर्णि रामणीय 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 दशमुख मौलिवर्णि रामणि केशवधीता राम शरीर जय जगदीश हरे बाह शिव पुषे विश्वदेवशन बाह शिव पुषे विश्वदेवशन गल्लदाबं हल्लहति प्रीति मिलित यमुनावं केशवधीता हल्लधर रूप जय जगदीश हरे निन्दर्षि जैग विधे राहा श्रुति जातं सदय हिदाय दशिता पशुघातं केशवधीता शरीर जया जगदीश हरे मेंसनि बाहनि धरे कलयसि धीता कल्कि शरीरा केशव धीता कल्कि शरीरा कल्कि शरीरा दया जगरी सहरे श्री जयदेव कवि हृदा मुदिता मुदारम सुखदं शुभदं भावशारा केशवधिता दशा विधारूपं जया जगदी सहरे जया जगरे सहरे जया जगदी सहरे